What if I told you that the person you see every day, the friend who listens, the coworker who stays late, the partner who always knows what to say, isn't the real them? What if they're hiding a secret life, even from themselves? No, this isn't a spy thriller. This is the INFJ personality. The rarest of the Myers-Briggs types, INFJs are walking paradoxes. Warm yet guarded, idealistic yet practical, deeply connected yet utterly alone. But here's the kicker, they don't even realize they're doing it. Buckle up. Today, we're diving into the labyrinth of the INFJ mind to uncover why they're living double lives and how it's shaping everything they do. 1. The INFJ paradox. How can someone be so known yet so unknown? INFJs are often seen as the ultimate people persons. They're the friends who remember tiny details about others, the coworkers who offer thoughtful advice, and the partners who prioritize their loved ones' needs. But beneath this warm, caring exterior lies a world even the INFJ struggles to understand. They spend so much time focusing on others that they rarely turn that same attention inward. Think of them like librarians who organize books for everyone else but never read their own. They know how to make others feel seen, yet they feel invisible themselves. Their true thoughts, fears, and desires stay locked away, not because they're dishonest, but because they've spent years believing their role is to help others, not to ask for help. 2. The Chameleon Effect. Why INFJs morph to fit your expectations. If you've ever met someone who acts differently around different people, you might have met an INFJ. They don't do this to trick anyone. It's almost like a reflex. At work, they'll match their boss's professionalism. With friends, they'll laugh louder or adapt to the group's vibe. In relationships, they become whatever their partner needs. This chameleon mode comes from their deep fear of rejection. They'd rather blend in than risk being judged for who they truly are. Over time, this habit becomes so automatic that they forget they're even doing it. It's like wearing a mask so long that the mask becomes part of their face. 3. The ideal self trap. When perfectionism becomes a mask. INFJs have a clear picture of who they should be. Endlessly patient, always wise, and universally loved. But this ideal is impossible to reach. Imagine spending hours rewriting a simple text message to sound perfect, or replaying conversations in your head to spot mistakes. That's daily life for many INFJs. They hold themselves to sky-high standards, terrified that any flaw will make people stop liking them. The problem? This constant self-editing hides their real personality. They show the world a polished, friendly version of themselves while their true thoughts, like frustration, doubt, or loneliness, stay bottled up. 4. The secret rebellion. Hidden desires INFJs won't admit, even to themselves. Behind the INFJ's calm surface, there's often a storm of unmet desires. The quiet neighbor who volunteers at every community event might secretly dream of quitting her job to travel the world. The dedicated parent who never misses a soccer game might fantasize about disappearing for a month to write a novel. These aren't passing thoughts. They're parts of the INFJ's personality they've been taught to ignore. Society labels them as selfless, so they bury their own needs to keep that image. But suppressing these desires doesn't make them vanish. Instead, they grow into quiet resentment or a feeling of being trapped in their own life. 5. The energy drain. Why INFJs crash after social performances. After a party, meeting, or family gathering, INFJs often vanish. They might cancel plans, ignore messages, or spend days alone. This isn't them being rude, it's survival. Every social interaction costs them mental energy. Smiling through small talk, absorbing others' emotions, and filtering their thoughts to avoid judgment is exhausting. Imagine running a marathon while carrying someone else's baggage. That's how INFJs feel after socializing. They retreat to recharge, but even then, they beat themselves up for needing alone time. They think, why can't I handle this like everyone else? Not realizing their double life is the reason they're so drained. 6. The two rooms theory, public persona versus private sanctuary. Picture an INFJ's mind as a house with two rooms. The front room is spotless, cozy furniture, soft music, and a warm welcome for guests. This is where they entertain others, offering advice and support. But down the hall, there's a locked room. Inside, it's chaotic. Half-written stories, unanswered questions about their purpose, and emotions they can't name. They rarely let anyone into this private space, not because they're hiding dark secrets, but because they're afraid no one will understand the mess. Over time, the front room becomes so familiar that even the INFJ starts to think it's the whole house. They forget about the locked room until loneliness or exhaustion forces them to confront it. 7. The INFJ's greatest fear. What if they see the real me and run? Deep down, INFJs worry they're too complicated to love. They know they're full of contradictions. They crave deep connection but need solitude. They're idealistic but practical. They feel everything intensely but rarely show it. So they hide these contradictions, sharing only parts of themselves that seem acceptable. They might avoid talking about their quirky hobbies, downplay their passions, or laugh off their deepest fears as jokes. The tragedy? The more they hide, the more isolated they feel. They become trapped in a cycle. Push people away to avoid rejection, then feel lonely because no one truly knows them. 8. The echo phenomenon. How INFJs lose themselves in relationships. When INFJs care about someone, they often merge with that person's identity. They'll adopt their partner's hobbies, mirror their friends' opinions, or mimic a coworker's habits to fit in. For example, an INFJ who hates sports might suddenly become a superfan of their partner's favorite team. They don't do this to deceive anyone. They genuinely want to connect. But over time, they lose track of their own preferences. They might wake up one day and realize they've spent years living someone else's life. This echo behavior leaves them feeling empty, like they've faded into the background of their own story. 9. The midnight epiphanies. When the mask slips in the dark. At 2 a.m., when the world is quiet, INFJs often face raw moments of truth. They might lie awake, asking, "Who am I really?" or scribble pages in a journal they'll never share. In these vulnerable hours, they confront the gap between their outer life and inner self. They might realize they've been pretending to enjoy a job they hate or staying in a friendship that drains them. But by morning, they push these revelations aside. The fear of disrupting their double life is stronger than the pain of living it. 10. The INFJ door slam. When double lives become no life, the door slam is the INFJ's last resort, cutting someone out of their life completely. But it's not about anger, it's about survival. When the effort of keeping up appearances becomes too much, they shut down to protect their crumbling sense of self. For example, an INFJ might ghost a friend who constantly takes advantage of their kindness, or leave a partner who never bothered to understand their needs. It's a desperate attempt to reclaim their identity. Yet even after the door slam, they rarely feel relief. Instead, they grieve the relationship and the version of themselves they pretended to be in it. 11. Breaking the cycle. How INFJs can unify their split selves. The first step for INFJs is admitting they can't pour from an empty cup. They need to prioritize their own needs, even if it feels selfish. This could mean setting boundaries. "I can't help you today." Embracing hobbies they've ignored for years, or seeking therapy to unpack their emotions. Journaling helps too. Not just writing "today was fine," but honest entries like, "I'm tired of pretending to be happy." Slowly, they can start merging their two lives. For instance, an INFJ who loves painting but hides it might take an art class. Another who fears judgment might share a personal story with a trusted friend. It's messy, but it's real. 12. The beauty of the double life. Why this flaw is actually a superpower. Living two lives isn't a curse. It's what makes INFJs extraordinary. Their ability to understand multiple perspectives makes them amazing mediators. Their chameleon-like adaptability lets them connect with all kinds of people. Even their midnight doubts fuel creativity and self-awareness. The key is to stop seeing their duality as a problem and start using it as a strength. An INFJ who accepts both their front-room kindness and their locked-room chaos becomes unstoppable. They can comfort a crying friend while honoring their own need for space, or chase a big dream while staying grounded. Their double life becomes a rich, layered story, not a secret to hide. Conclusion: INFJs aren't liars or frauds. They're overthinkers in a world that prefers simple answers and feelers in a culture that rewards logic. Their double life is really just a struggle to balance their deep empathy with their own humanity. But when they stop fighting their complexity and start embracing it, magic happens. They realize they don't have to choose between being the caregiver and the artist, the listener and the dreamer. They can be all of it, messy, real, and fully alive. To every INFJ, your duality isn't a flaw. It's what makes you unforgettable.